months of living in a camp had changed everything: her face, her hair, her voice. Her circumstances were just about the only thing that hadn't changed. She is one of the thousands of uncounted refugees living in an unofficial camp within a camp, a whole different level of the inferno. Officially, she doesn't exist, and it means she gets no help from the NGOs. She can see the shelters in Camp Carado and the water tank, yet she doesn't have access to either, and she doesn't understand why.
Bon, yo di ONG, pou sa fèm plusieurs qui fèm banon nan ONG. Parce que plusieurs femmes de di ONG, yo tout la kan la, nou pa personne, nou pa son la. Nou pa kòjèm zeni, nou pou nou rele nou pou parler ensemble avec nous. Ou après tout os autres yo, tout boy sit.
Her 2-year-old son is malnourished. So is she.
This is your food? For how many days?
C'est quoi rouge qui a décidé. Mais quoi qui a décidé, elle va même pour rien du tout. Moi, t'as décidé pour mettre tête ensemble avec nous pour ta fonction pour nous là. Parce que c'est pas bien à bien vivre là. Pour nous demander comment faire avec l'argent.
There are all sorts of numbers, and numbers blur the picture, which show that the immediate relief effort has been successful in reaching 1.5 million people consistently from the early hours all the way to today.
And yet, according to a recent UN bulletin, there are fewer working latrines in the camps now than there were last spring. That might explain why we didn't see lines of people waiting to use them. They can't. That same report says about 7% of the Haitians have access to drinking water, down from nearly 50% last spring. And nearly half the population isn't receiving enough food. So how do you explain the disconnect between what the NGOs told us and what we saw on the ground in Haiti? We can't. And in many cases, neither can they, because in spite of all the money they handle, they are accountable to no one but themselves.
How does the Red Cross hold itself accountable?
Of course, we have a website, everyone does. We push out a ton of information about Haiti, not just in English, but in also Haitian Creole. Lots of financial data, what we're doing, where we're doing. It's all available in our website. We have, in terms of transparency and accountability, not only do we have, of course, an internal audit department, we have an external auditor.
But internal audits and external auditors only go so far. In most cases, they're just checking the math. And the Red Cross dissolved its own disaster service committee more than 4 years ago.
It's a really bad signal to send, especially given the track record of the Red Cross. People have given them the benefit of the doubt time and time again. And I think it's because they've established one of the largest networks for disaster relief. They're like the Halliburton of disaster relief, right? But that's still no excuse for not being accountable, for not raising the bar for what an international NGO can and should be doing in the 21st century.
In the past, NGOs were not required to tell you what they spent the money on. Even now, they're simply required to file a 990 tax form. Many line items are voluntary. Some NGOs, like Project Metashare, are good at this. Others are not.
Are they being most effective and most efficient in changing the conditions on the ground for everyday Haitians? I would say at the surface and looking at what I've seen and the feedback that I've gotten, no.
So what can be done about all this? Well, the American Red Cross is chartered by Congress, and no fewer than 10 congressional committees have oversight authority. While congressional hearings to force transparency are rare, they do happen, usually after the public starts demanding action.
We can, I think, open a lens through the Congress because of the way that we fund many of these NGOs. But I think that the private sector, and there has to be some demands from the people for accountability from these organizations.
Measuring accountability, that's a tricky one, isn't it? For instance, Is there any evidence that the aid agency is talking to local people? Do you host meetings where you ask people to come along and express their views? Do you publicise the plans? This is what we are going to do. What do you think? You know, town hall meetings, that sort of thing. Do they take place? So you could look for indicators like that.
Here's one indicator we thought of. Do any of these guys have plans to leave, especially if the Haitian government asked them to?
I think we would probably debate with them a bit, but we're in Haiti. We're an American institution, and if the government here no longer wants us to be here, then yes, we would respect that.
Is there ever a point where CRS can declare a country a success story and say, we did it and let's pack up and go because there are other places that need us?
I would say no, but not because there haven't been successes. It's because it's our mission to accompany the church in these countries.
I know in the case for the American Red Cross now, following the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, we said to the public, this will take 5 years. And 5 years, on the 5th anniversary of the recovery program, we finished on time, on budget.
How long is Haiti going to take?
I don't know. We think we'll be done in about 3 or 4 years.
To be clear, no one doubts that the aid agencies operating in Haiti, especially the workers in the field, have good intentions.
I want to be done with Haiti. I mean, in my particular job, what says to me is that, you know, if foreigners like yourselves still want to come to Haiti and do stories on Haiti and it's still in the international limelight, it means that we have done something wrong.
And when you work with these people, I've got goosebumps now thinking about their courage. You want to change it. You want to give them change.
I like to be with people in periods of transition, of important transitions in their life.
You want to do good.
Of course.
So the big question is there a way to be better at doing good?
Well, what can happen to make the aid industry better? Wow. Put in place, you know, basic law that says the government has a responsibility to protect and look after its citizens, and when agencies come in, they have a responsibility to show that they're competent. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, right?
Make them independent of donor attention, make them independent of donor demands. Then aid will be a lot better, because then you can prioritize what victims need and not what the organizations need.
Remember that the NGOs don't exist in a vacuum. They exist in a very specific policy and political and economic milieu where they respond to external pressures. They follow external mandates. You want to change NGOs' behavior, you talk to the donors and say, there's how things should be run differently. And I'm not going to go head to head with Celia Struthers and say you suck. You know, that's not going to be effective. You know, that's what's effective is pulling your funding if you don't do this.
If there is a lesson to be learned from the mistakes being made in Haiti, it is this. The idea here is not that you should stop giving money to aid organizations. Rather, give wisely and take the time to follow your money and hold NGOs accountable.
First of all, choose your organization real carefully. Make sure that you know what the organization does. Study if they did good work in the past. Be very aware of where they are bringing your money. Make the effort of doing your homework, and perhaps, and then make the best choice.
Ask NGOs to, to not do things the way they've been doing for 20 years. It's going to be difficult, but I think that you got some that are willing to do it.